Hey going everyone, Classy here. Today I wanted to do a little bit of an update on this clock right here. So this clock here is a 1905 Waterbury Spasmodic alarm clock. I bought this clock broken and in need of repair about a few months ago, and I had released a video on YouTube, which you can find on my channel, on a method of repairing this clock, which was by all accounts a completely unconventional method. What had happened is the balance cups, the balance arbor had actually whittled away on the balance cups directly towards gravity, which meant that there was an increased amount of friction and the balance wheel was sitting kind of lopsided, which meant that it wasn't interacting with the pallet fork. So at the moment this clock here is running, well, fantastic. As you can hear, it's ticking away. If I spin it around, you can sort of see just in there. Maybe if I get some illumination on here. You might be able to see that just in there. Ticking away quite happily. Quite evenly as well. Now, this thing here also has probably the nicest sounding bell I've ever heard on a clock. It is, I don't know, maybe it's something that is otherwise unusual sort of for some other people to say, well, hey, I like the sound of this bell, but it just, I love this thing. I love it so much. But one thing I do want to do is show you exactly the sound of this clock running on its bell. So at the moment the alarm is set, and generally what you would do is this lever here will actually slide down and push the hammer of the bell backwards, which also sort of interacts with the escapement mechanism on the for the alarm side of this clock here. The bell obviously sort of has a hammer that runs and it just sort of strikes the side of the clock here, but if you want to set the alarm, you would push this up right here and turn this. This is obviously not the original winding stem for this clock. And if I just continue to run this across, the reason why they call this a spasmodic alarm clock is because the alarm will actually run for a little while and then stop for a little while, and at some point it should continue running for a little while again. You would push the lever down at the back of the clock in order to stop the alarm as you're getting up in the morning. But the reason why they did it this way is because a continuous alarm can sometimes become a sound that people will get used to. As you can hear, this clock is extremely loud. It almost sounds like a fire alarm bell, but again, it's running fantastic. It's been running sort of for about 4 minutes now, because I just wound it up again today. But whenever I have wound this clock and have run it, it runs flawlessly. But the reason sort of why it's in here and not by my bedside table is because that ticking is the loudest ticking I have ever heard in an alarm clock. If I want to make a couple of criticisms for this though, is the fact that these 4 screws, here, 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 and here, don't actually hold the mechanism inside the can. They hold the back plate onto the movement, and the back plate is friction fit into the can. It's a very strange setup, but again, I absolutely love this clock. And if ever you get into the realm of clock repair, I'd recommend, or even if you would like a mechanical clock, they are everywhere. They're next to nothing. And if I got to be honest, repairing these things can be both a little bit frustrating and extremely rewarding, because this extraordinary piece of American clockmaking history, which is now going to be, I suppose, an heirloom for me, can continue living on 119 years, almost 120 years actually, after it was first created and sold to whomever it was that purchased it. Thank you very much. I just wanted to give an update on this, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.